Let's go to some other issues. Despite today a report that the government's green agenda, the so-called green hydrogen that underpinned it, is in serious trouble, the PM, he was still running his usual lines.
When you think about what global investors in data centres and green metals and clean energy are looking for, truly, there is nowhere else in the world you'd rather be than right here in Australia.
Now, the problem for the Prime Minister is the costs keep blowing out, with two of the latest projects for green hydrogen now estimated to be 4 times the cost of rival energy sources. Joining me to make sense of some of this, MST Financial Senior Energy Analyst, Saul Kavonic. Well, Saul, thank you for your time. We're told taxpayers are on the hook for some $8 billion in the last budget for green hydrogen. You and I both know that a whole lot of private investors, they're walking away. They're not putting, good money after bad with green hydrogen, but the government is, taxpayers are. Are we going to get a return for this money?
Unfortunately, this $8 billion is going to go to complete waste. It's not a matter of green hydrogen being close and it needs a bit of assistance to get over the line. It's miles away from being competitive. So if you look at those numbers that have come out today, where they're talking about initial costs of $8 to $11 a kilogram, just to give an indication, that is 5 to 8 times the current gas prices, which Albanese himself has said is too high to sustain manufacturing in this country. So it's not 20% higher, it's 500, 600% higher. And even in their success case, so they're talking about in time, they can bring down the cost of hydrogen to $3 to $4 a kilogram. Let's assume the best case scenario, they get it down to $3 a kilogram according to their own estimates. That's still going to see a doubling of prices compared to what you currently get in the gas market. So, if Albanese and Chris Bowen think that current gas prices are too high for Australian households and energy users and manufacturing to pay, I don't see why we're spending billions of dollars in order to sell people energy at twice the cost of what is already unaffordable.
I mentioned at the top of the show, Saul, what's happening in the UK. Miliband today saying that they want a whole new nuclear golden age, right? We can't even have a debate here about lifting the moratorium. And your point there about the price of gas vis-a-vis the price of green hydrogen. I mean, why the heck wouldn't we have a serious conversation about nuclear, given the PM's only real answer? He can't say it's not safe because we're about to put it in submarines and put submariners in those submarines. His only argument's been about the money, but he's happy to throw billions at green hydrogen, which you say is decades away and unaffordable. Why can't we have the debate that everybody else is having about nuclear?
Well, Peter, we all know, and this includes, there's many members of the Labor Party, MPs in Labor, big factions that support Labor, are also very open to nuclear, personally. But it's just the more radical left-wing factions who are ideologically opposed to nuclear as a hangover from 50 years ago in the anti-nuclear weapons proliferation movement. If you start looking at some of the smartest and most sophisticated energy procurement organisations in the world, so it's not just countries like the UK, but we're seeing Microsoft, Google, Apple, all looking to now support nuclear. It actually ties into those comments that you played earlier by Anthony Albanese, who's talking about investment in critical technology sectors like our data centres in Australia. And something that I've heard really disturbing just in the last couple of weeks, I'm getting calls from data centre companies saying we can no longer continue to grow our data centre capability in this country because of energy unreliability. Right? And just to be clear, data centres are essential to every single one of the priority technology list by the government, all 11 critical infrastructure sector designations by the federal government. All of these rely on data centres. It's central to our national security. We don't want our cybersecurity, military capabilities data being held offshore, right? Believe it or not, Australia is actually number 5 in the world in data centre capacity build out here in Sydney. We're a leader. And now we have Chris Bowen's department, instead of celebrating our success in this key technology enabler, he's actually trying to slow it down and kill our leading edge in this sector in order to prioritise his emissions targets. He sees our success in this sector as a villain, which risks him not meeting his emissions reductions targets. And that's a huge issue. We shouldn't be shutting down critical industries in order to meet emissions reductions targets. And if you look at the way around the world, coming back to what you were saying, all over the world, one of the reasons that nuclear is taking off again is to support data centers and technology and AI and cloud computing and all those industries of the future. We have an edge here, but we risk losing it purely because of our energy policies. Our defence minister, our national security agencies, our industry minister, and our technology ministers are all going to be let down by energy departments unless they change course.